At what point did you kind of decide, okay, I'm done with the SEAL teams and now I want to transition out? How much of being at the dog program played any role in that, and kind of walk us through the transition?
So, 2017, Team 3, they sent their guys over to go through the training. It's like the dogs are just like serialized, guns. You just turn them over to the next guy, and same thing. Tyson got turned over to another handler, and he went through the training. He made it through. Deployed with Tyson. They went to Iraq, and in November of 2017, Tyson got killed.
Do you know the full details on that, and can you share that story?
Yeah, so I was in church with my wife, and I left my phone like in the car, and I had like a weird feeling, and like all throughout the sermon, and it wraps up. I go out to my car, and I've got like bunch of missed calls, bunch of text messages, and I open up my phone, and they're like, Tyson got killed. I was like, fuck. And so end up going into work. They're like, yeah, we don't know the specifics, but he got killed on an op. And so once we kind of, started, we started figuring out what to do next. It was like, okay, well, they need a dog. They've been overseas for 3 months. They got into like a firefight near the Flot. It's kind of all we knew. And they're like, well, they need another dog. So up to this point, and this is what I loved about being a canine handler, and this is what I loved about being like a trade ed instructor, is like I feel like the dog made me a better operator. It made me a better shooter because when you're training with the dog, right? Not only do you have to be aware of blue force picture, red force picture, what's going on your comms, like you're paying attention to the dog too. Like is he keying up on something? Am I pulling him off of something that he's trying to like alert me to? And then when you don't have the dog, it's like, all right, we're going to do another scenario, but kennel the dog. I felt like everything slowed down, and I was like, okay, like I kind of like the toilet paper tubes get a little bit bigger, like my aperture gets bigger, and I'm like, all right, I got this. Now I'm just an E5 shooter in the stack. And what was cool about that is I got to go to different teams and train with different troops and platoons with a dog, and I got more training. Like I went out to Nyland like 3 times in one ULT just because they needed a dog for my ULT plus this other platoon and this other platoon and this other troop. So I was like constantly getting more training, which to me, I'm like, if I'm not going to be fighting in Afghanistan anymore, then at least like let me get the reps in. And so before Team 3 left, the CMC told TradeIt, they're like, hey, if you want to send any guys downrange, if you got any bodies to spare, we'll take them. So after Tyson got killed, I'm like, all right, this is my opportunity. It's like, I was coming up on my time at TradeIt, and the game plan was, I talked to my chief and I talked to the CEO of TradeIt, and so like the head shed knew about this. It was like, hey, you're going to deploy with Team 3 with this dog, Boris, and you're going to be their dog guy, and then you'll redeploy with them in 3 months. You'll come back, check out a trade ed, and stay with Team 3. Like that was like the career path. And everyone, chief, CO, everybody signed off on it. And from what I understood, everyone at Team 3 knew about this too. So I packed my shit, like all my gear, I had my weapons suites, had everything for Boris. And that's the thing too, is like these dogs aren't just sitting around when they don't have handlers. Like we're training these dogs every day. So I've been training with Boris every day, and like I know when he's keying up. I know the dog, right? So shoot overseas, go to Germany for a little bit, and then end up kind of pushing out to Iraq. And when I show up at the fob that these guys are at, I am greeted by like a little half circle of the handler, Tyson's handler, and two chiefs. And they're like, who the fuck do you think you are coming over here like you're going to take my spot as the dog guy? I was like, what are you talking about?
This must have been an East Coast handler, or
West.
I mean, one of your guys.
Yeah.
So he's talking to you that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a subordinate of yours, right?
Right. I put him through training. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? I'm like, everybody knows, everybody signed off on this that I'm not here to just deliver a dog. Like, I'm deploying. Like, I've got my shit.
I mean, to me, that only makes sense from a continuity standpoint. Like, you've been working with the dog.
Exactly. And it was like a back and forth for like 20 minutes. They're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like, look, you guys, your fucking dog's dead, right? And you haven't worked with this dog. You don't know how he works. You don't know how he operates. Like, I'm here to be the dog guy, right? And that's that. And it got real weird, and I was like, all right, check it out. Like, I'm gonna put you through a route, and we're gonna see how you do with this dog, right? Because I'm not just turning over a dog to anybody that can't read him, doesn't know how to work with him, and then God forbid something else happens where guys get killed or the dog gets killed again. It's like I'm not living with that, and you shouldn't be wanting to do that either. You know, like that's not. Like, you should be like, yeah, man, like, let's go. And what happened to this, like, hey, send your guys over, anybody that wants to deploy. It's like, I'm here, man. I've got my shit. Like, let's do this. And so I ended up setting up a route, and I had a low, a medium, and a high hide, you know? I mean, I wasn't trying to fuck them. I was like, let's just see, like, what you got, you know, as a dog handler here. And the dog alerted to every odor, and he didn't pick up on any of them. Completely 0 out of 3. And the chiefs, you know, I showed the chiefs like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is where it's going. You know, pay attention. And so then afterwards, they were like, well, we're still keeping the dog, and you're on the next flight out of here. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, this is like somebody else needs to know about this, because this is not like this is a liability at this point. You know, it's like. You missed all the odor. You've never worked with this dog. It's clear as day, and I'm here to run it, and you're fucking putting me on a flight.
Was there a justification on their part of saying this is why it makes sense? Did you ask that?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I did. I was like, what's the thought process behind this? They're like, well, you know, he's our dog guy. I was like, all right, well, clearly he doesn't know how to run this dog. I was like, it's like me giving you a fucking gun that you've never shot and telling you to, you know, go take sniper overwatch. You know, it's like, why would you do that? And like, well, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll work with him. We'll train him. I'm like, so I reached back out to my chief. I'm like, yo, this is what's going on. And he's like, fuck them, man. He's like, if they don't want you, to just come on back. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. It took me like a week and a half to get here. I've got all my shit. Like, now I'm just going to like hop on a bird and go home. Like, and it was like that to me was like the catalyst to getting out. And I was like, because, you know, your CMC says send dudes that want to go. It's like, I'm here, bro. I'm like ready to get in the game. Like this is, like my CO signed off on it. My chief signed off on it. Like, what the fuck, man? And it got to a point where I'm like, man. And then I got the debrief about what happened to Tyson. And the story goes that, you know, they were in this tick and they were trying to get off the X, and they were in these RGs, and I think there was like 3 or 4 team guys in this one RG. You know, you got your driver, you got your dude riding shotgun, and then 2 other guys. One of them was the handler, and Tyson was in the back, and they took a fucking rocket right into the back, and it hit Tyson and just turned him into barbecue. They said like from the collar down, he was just like charred, and then they got slammed with another rocket, and Tyson's body fell out of the RG, and the partner force actually were the ones that went back and got him and brought him. and these guys didn't even go back and get him. I don't know if it's because they were getting shot off the X or what, but this leave no man behind shit is like, that includes our dogs, Like, we don't send dogs to their deaths. So the partner force picked him up and brought him to the guys, and, they burned his body and, gave him like a little Viking funeral. But I ended up going home, and I went through my dog bag and I got like a clump of Tyson's fur, and I brought it over to Beto at Half Face, and I told him, hey man, like, can you make me a knife with this shit? And I was like, I want it red, white, and blue, and with the handle, red, white, and blue. So he's got like some giraffe bone and some turquoise, and then right in the handle here is his fur, and then on the knife itself, I got his face engraved.
Yeah, that's cool. Can you hold that up for this camera?
Yeah. So there's his fur.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And then there's his face.
That's amazing. And
I took that picture of him. I was like, I had a toy, and I was trying to get him to speak, and he was just like barking hard, and I was like, yeah, that's the picture I want on this knife. And it's all, it's like, it makes me glad that I've got the scars on my hands now. It's like something to remember him by.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, after that shit, I came back to the team, and I explained what happened, and then it got weird after that, and they started trying to come after me for shit, and they're like, well, so I had started an apparel company with another team guy, buddy of mine, and I didn't put in a chit for it or whatever, so they tried to get me, like, because of this whole thing, it turned into like just a catalyst for like, well, what's up with Collins? Why don't these guys want him? And they're like, oh, well, I think he's got like a t-shirt company. And it's like, well, let's look into that. Did you put in a chit for it? You're now you're moonlighting. I'm like, this is what this is turning into. Like, it went from like a dog got killed, and I'm going over here to deploy with these dudes to be their dog guy and, do the job, to now you want to like try to burn me for something like that. Like, okay, I'll do it. I'll put a chit in, like, and it got real weird. And I remember it was Bobby Ramirez was the CEO, rest in peace. And I remember telling him like the whole story, and he sat there, and I spoke for like 20 minutes, and he didn't interrupt me. He just listened to, pretty much everything I just told you. And he's like, you need to get a lawyer. I was like, all right. So now I'm coming off of like my dog getting killed, me getting kicked out of the country, and now I got to lawyer up for a fucking, t-shirt company because now like the chain of command's coming after me. And I was like, dude,
fuck the Navy.
Fuck the Navy, bro. Like, and it's funny. People, like, I've done other podcasts where I've talked about this, like, not as deep as this, but, you shouldn't read the comments, but sometimes I get a kick out of it, and people are like, oh, this guy's got a bad attitude, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, if you only knew how the Navy works, I mean,
yeah.
It's so ass backwards, and it's like, and it's the other thing, too. It's like when we don't have an enemy to fight, like, we're cannibals, and we'll eat each other.